When I think of bionicles, I think of Magic the Gathering. They they feel like the same thing to me. They feel infinite. They feel creative. And I love creativity. I love being able to make new ideas and create new things. And when I build a Magic deck, this one right here I'm really happy about. I like this one a lot. It's Queen Caleb and Krug with Zerta the Dawnwaker as the companion. So every permanent card in my library has an activated ability. And activated abilities that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. Can't reduce to less than 1. So it's all a bunch of baubles and stuff, but I'm working it to be more. That was perfect. To be more self-damaging. Things like Heartless Hitsugu or Orcish Cannonade or Orcish Artillery. Stuff like that that hurts me as well as something else. It's honestly built around 2 cards that I really like and I would like to play more. I might put them into their own deck, but I like this kind of shell for them. That being Ty Wakeen, Perfect Shot, which cares about the certain amount of damage that something is dealt. And then if it's equal to their toughness, you draw a card. Stuff like Spicy Oatmeal Pizza from the god-awful TMNT set is actually really good here. And then the other one being Anti-Blight, Bad Influence. Whenever a source I control deals damage to me, put that many +1/+1 counters on Anti-Blight, and then she can remove them to deal X damage to any target. I think these two are such a fun combination where I deal damage to something, I draw a card, it deals damage to me as well, I put counters on it. I can remove those counters, deal damage to something, draw a card, etc., etc. But the limitation being everything has to have a activated ability. I could make this so easily in just normal Boros. And I'm planning on making it in Naya. Because I want something built around that. I could easily just make a burn deck. But I feel like that's not fun, you know? I like to do things creatively. And I know some fucking hipster bullshit like, oh, I'm not like other deck builders. But I like this. I like the deal damage to me, deals damage to something else. Like, when have you ever seen someone play Orcish Cannonade? Deals 2 damage to any target, 3 damage to me, and I draw a card. Or something like Spicy Oatmeal Pizza. They're adding more of these. This is from the Ninja Turtles set. They added a couple more from the Marvel set, which I can't put in this deck because they don't have activated abilities. Daredevil. I love Daredevil. And he has an activated ability, so does his mentor Stick, that when a source you control deals damage to you, something happens. Anti-Blight is before that the only person that cared about a source you control dealing damage to you. And now Daredevil does too, and he's a lot better at it because it does what she does, except it does it automatically. It doesn't put counters on it. And I'll probably put that in the dinosaur deck I'm making. It's not a dinosaur deck. It's the commander is built around like stuff for enrage for dinosaurs. But there's so many other things that do it, you know? I like this deck, and I have a lot of fun playing it for the most part. It really depends on the people I play with. But it reminds me of Bionicles in the fact that, see this guy here? This guy here is fully built. I built him God knows how long ago. And he has some armor. He's missing some armor pieces. I'll put those on whenever. Has these cool little claws on his shoulders with these little claws that go down. He has the classic, Hero Factory mask with the Hero Factory head. This is more new commander design, Everything's sleek. Everything is meant to fit together the way it fits together. Everything is streamlined and it works well, and it's just objectively better than what came before. As far as a design and efficiency standpoint, things work better because they've been able to adapt on it and update it. Whereas, we can take a look at this utter monstrosity that I have built. But this utter monstrosity that I have built, this is not new. I mean, as far as like building it, it is new. I built this like last week. But this thing is horrific. It looks horrific. It was, well, I was going to say horrific to build. It was really fun to build. But that's what I'm getting into, This thing is meant to be a giant monster. A giant, incomprehensible, doesn't make sense monster. If you've ever read Mistborn, this is pretty much what a Mistwraith looks like, give or take a few weapons, I guess. I don't know. They do look odd. But as you can see, the way it's built, I don't know where I got this from, but it's really fun. As you can see, this is not this. This is not, everything fits the way it was meant to fit. You can see here, starting with the end, this is 2 ball joints near the bottom with a line of circles. I'm not sure what the actual terms are these for, so I'm going to use circles and pluses. That's really the best you're going to get. And balls. But as you can see, this is usually meant to be like the bottom for something. You connect it to a torso, and then you go from there. These old pieces, they're so bizarre in how they were meant to be. I have another one in here somewhere if I can pick it out. Here we are. This is what old torsos look like. Not the oldest torsos, maybe, but some older ones compared to, the Hero Factory design. Here it is. So as you can see, the shoulders are a lot higher than the head. They have 4 circles with a square in the middle and 2 squares above the side circles. Whereas this one has full circles with a T pattern, a ball just below the middle, and then a circle below with a ball underneath. So it's 3 across. You can see this is about an average human like body, as compared to this one, which looks more bionic. Who would have guessed? But those are still relatively humanoid. And compare that to something like this, where taking the limbs off, this does not really look humanoid. This is 2 of these, one facing down and one facing up, with this bizarre piece. I'm not sure what it goes to. I've had this box of bionicles for, that's too hard to take out, for God knows how long. I think since I was about 10. I am almost 25, and I've had this for so long. I lost it for a while. I found this in a trailer. In a trailer I haven't used since I was probably 15. And I was just rooting through it one day because I was back home, and I found it. And I brought it back with me to where I live now, and I keep thinking about it. I keep thinking that I can't believe I've had this for so long. It's like magic. people have magic cards that they just have from ages back where they just forget about it until one day they realize, oh, they have it. Can they use it on something? Like this, Orcish Artillery from, I'm guessing, 8th edition. This is just not a very good card. It's a 3-mana 1/3 with a ability that deals 2 damage to something and 3 damage to me. That's not really worth it, you know? As compared to a more recent version of Spicy Oatmeal Pizza. God, what an atrocious name. This is an artifact, it is different, but still, a 3-mana artifact deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to me. And it's a food, so I can pay 2, tap, sacrifice it to gain 3 life. The power creep is, very obvious. And you can tell with a lot of new cards. And it's like that for bionicles too. Take this piece. Let's take this out and this out. Take this piece. This, I'm guessing, was supposed to be a chest piece. It has been power crept by stuff like this. If I'm completely wrong on this and this wasn't supposed to be a chest piece, you still get the point, Because I do have things that I'm pretty sure were supposed to be chest pieces. But the point still stands. What in God's name are you going to do with this? It has a plus going straight up, 2 circles on either side going back or forward, I guess, with circles at angles on each side, with a hole in the middle and a circle going straight through the center. It has 3 pluses going down with room in the middle for something here. What in God's name are you going to do with that? And that's what I love. That's where I got the idea for this video. It just reminds me of magic cards. And I do the same thing I do with bionicles as I do with magic cards. As I realized, I was just sitting there watching TV, and this is my box. This is my box of bionicles. And I just sift through them and grab a piece. A head. An old head, too. And do you see how the heads are designed now? Let's look at our friend. What should we name our friend? Let's name our friend Adam. Like Adam Warlock. I've been watching a lot of Marvel stuff recently. I love Marvel. But let's look at our friend Adam's head. Remove the mask that slides on. And here we have a head. You could put something in the middle. I have something for it somewhere, but I don't particularly care. And it's just a ball joint, Ball joint can fit on something like this. With arms, per se, like this. Ta-da! And then compare that to this head. This head it can't fit. It has a plus going straight through his mouth to the back and a plus going down. So what you can do, let me move my box of bionicles, it's messing up the focus. What you can do is something like this, where you get a plus, a little red one. I have plenty of them around. And you put it through. I like the way these are designed. They're long enough for exactly 2 spaces. 1 space, and the other space is just as long. Well, I guess not this one. This one's like double. But it goes here perfectly. And I like the way things fit. Everything's a uniform size. So now with a ball joint, we can put it on this guy with the very big chest. I like the fact that I can just root through my box of bionicles and pick out a random piece, say this piece. And I can look at it and I can think, what in the world could I do with that? This is such an odd piece. You can tell it's old because they have little pistons here, like the old ones do. Here they are. Little pistons here. On some of the older legs, they also have it. If I can reach it. Actually, no. I have one right here. They made it look a lot more like mechanical as compared to just kind of sticks the way they do now. And you can say they've lost personality. That's true. Kind of the way new Magic has kind of lost some of its personality with all the crossovers. At least Magic still exists and it isn't discontinued like Bionicles are. What an odd piece, right? What can you really do with it? And that's what I love. That's why I think of Magic. Because I just get a random card. Speaking of, perfect. This is my favorite card ever. This is Mirage Mirror. It is a 3 mana artifact. For 2 mana, it can become a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. It loses this ability, but you can activate it multiple times in response to itself. There's a lot you can do with it. Most mirrors show your reflection. Others show your potential. And I like that, because this has infinite potential. You can make it become a copy of an enemy's artifact, an enemy's enchantment, an enemy's creature. Perfect blocks. You can make it become anything you want. It's just a duplicate of any card in your deck that you need. I love the versatility. I love the creativeness you can do with it. I love to just look at random cards, such as Tywakeen Perfect Shot and Anti-Blight Bad Influence, or cards like Orcish Artillery. Things that have a drawback, you're like, why would you ever want to damage yourself? Because there are good reasons for it. Things like Anti-Blight, things like the new Daredevil, things like Rowan Scion of War. Busted fucking card, by the way. And I love thinking, what could I do with it? I love digging through and finding random pieces and saying, what can I do with these? This is a helmet. I can put it on a head. It's a fun little white helmet. And I like that you can use them in unexpected ways. You can use anything in unexpected ways. And that's what I like. That's what I love about Magic. That's why I just go through Scryfall. I don't think you've really seen this card. This is not a good or popular or new card. This is old. This is 1994. This is Icatan Money Changer. For 1 white, it's a 0/2. When it enters, it deals 3 damage to you and put 3 credit counters on it. And during your upkeep, you can put a credit counter on it. And you can sacrifice it to gain 1 life for each credit counter on it, used only during your upkeep. What an odd card, right? It's near useless. A 1 mana 0/2 that deals 3 damage to you, and you have to wait a whole turn to gain 1 more life than you lost. What a terrible card. But that's the beauty of Magic. If you use it in the right strategies, then it works. It works wonderfully. Because with my commander, I can discard it. I can discard these, and with that, I am able to get this on the battlefield and this on the battlefield. This will deal damage to me, which will let me put 3 +1/+1 counters on Anti-Blight. That's a 5/5 and a 0/2 for 4 mana. If I have Zerta out, then that's 2 mana. Tywakeen helps me. If I want to remove counters to deal damage to any target, then I can. I can use things like life gain. So I can give a target creature lifelink, and then I can deal damage to something, which will gain me life, which will put counters on things. I was able to do that with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Heartless Hidetsugu, and a creature that can untap itself. I was able to give it lifelink and have it deal damage equal to each player equal to half their life total. And I gained all that life. And I untapped it and did it again. That's what I love about Magic, is just a random assortment of cards can do so much. And even cards you think are worthless are good in the right scenario. Just like bionicles. Even odd, bizarre odd, bizarre pieces, like, say this head, for example. All it has for a connection is 2 pluses going back. It doesn't have nearly as much range as something like this. You know, it can look side to side, it can look up and down, look diagonally, look all the way around. And it's more realistic, more human. But sometimes you don't want human. You want alien. You want monster. And this is a monster with its little teeth and its eyes. I only have one of them, so I put a little spike through the other. You have to think creatively when you do this. Pluses aren't inherently ball joints. You can make them ball joints with stuff like this, which are little balls that you can put on a plus, and then you can connect to things like this. And it becomes a hinge, a ball joint. These are a real bitch to get out sometimes, but I could do that. I could get a plus like this, and I could put it on here. You put it in. And what does that accomplish? Nothing. Since it's stuck, it can only look up and down a little bit. Because this has limited movement. It can only move up and down a little bit, can't really move side to side. So how can you make it something interesting? And that's the joy, is finding a way to make these near useless things useful. And I'm sure there was an old way to do it that I'm not particularly sure how. But what I did is I created this incredibly convoluted design where, since it has 2 pluses going out and I want it to move, you know, side to side and up and down, I built this. I have 2 pluses going into little sockets that have a circle going the opposite way on the end, which I then plugged into pretty much the same thing, except it's a plus on both of them. But I was thinking, since there's 2 of them, you can't just do one like you can for a head like this, where it's, you do 1 plus that attaches to a ball joint. If you have 2 of them, that doesn't really accomplish anything, such as here. You know, since they're both so close to each other, you still really don't get the full range of movement. So what I decided to do was attach them to a little piece like this, which sits on one hinge, one circle hinge, so it can move. Now I can plug them in, and since they are just pluses that are being pushed into it, nothing is really getting in the way since it keeps going out further. So now it can turn a lot. But how do you make it go up and down, you wonder? Because since it's just pluses, there's no mobility up or down. That is where using stuff in ways that aren't necessarily normal or necessarily intended. And that's the beautiful thing, is they're not intended for any one thing. They can be used however you want them to be used. This is why I like bionicles more than I like Legos. With Legos, they're all just blocks of different sizes with different amounts of studs on them. Whereas bionicles, they're unique. Each piece serves a different purpose. And yeah, they have overlapping purposes, like this one. This is a full plus. This is a half plus, half circle. They are used in different things, but for half of them, they're used in the same thing. That means there's overlap. I can put this here to make a ball joint, and I can put this ball joint anywhere that has a circle, such as here. Now, this chest can have an arm. See? Wahoo. Whereas, if I use this ball joint on this plus, I can use it anywhere there is a plus, a la here. And now, there can be a head. And you can do this in any number of ways that you would like. And that's the joy of it. That's the joy of bionicles, is it's up to you. If you want to make something that looks bizarre, you can make it like this. These they are arms. These are what old arms looked like. Now he'd have an arm, and then you could put this on him. Bam, he'd have a head. You could put a fist on him, or better yet, put claws on him. Ta-da! Now he has claws. And there's infinite design space you can do with this. These are two claws that I put on a bar piece. That bar piece I connected with a plus and a circle. So I could put it in this, I don't know what to call it. I like calling it like a wrist or a hand. You put it on the end of a ball joint to it's really just the end of something. Because it's hard to build off of this. But that's the thing, is you can. Like I did. You put it here, and now it goes back and forth. And the beautiful thing is, you can do it in any way you would like. You can put it on these sides, like this. You can put it 4 different ways. See, now that looks sick as hell. It's like magic in the fact that you can just find a card, something like barbed wire. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, deals 1 damage to that player. And for 2 mana, prevent the next 1 damage that be dealt by barbed wire this turn. That's pretty useless. 3 mana deals 1 damage each upkeep. But when you want to deal damage to yourself, it works. Then I have stuff like Plarg, Dean of Chaos, which you're thinking, what does that matter? It doesn't. It has an activated ability, but also has another side. I don't have it with me because I proxy, so this is just one side of it. The other side allows you to untap creatures when you attack. You can tap or untap any number of creatures you control when you attack. So, all my creatures with tap abilities, I can untap them when I attack. I don't have to attack with them, I just have to attack in general. And that makes for so much stuff I can do. It is near limitless possibilities. Just like bionicles are. I root through and I find a card that I like. I root through Scryfall, thousands upon thousands of cards, and I look at tags, and I'll just pick a random one. Something like Fiend Lash. Whenever a crit creature is dealt damage, it deals damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker. So the more I damage my stuff, the better it works. You could use it in an aggro strategy to prevent blockers. You can deal damage to it yourself. You can use it in a fight strategy to make you and your opponent's creatures fight, and then win that way. There's infinite possibilities of what you can do with Magic and with Bionicles, and I love that. I can do whatever I please because there's no one stopping me and telling me that's the right way to do it. Just like in Magic, I can build whatever deck I want, and if it's stupid, then it's stupid. Who cares? My decks suck ass, but I like them. You can do whatever you want, and the only thing that limits you is creativity. And the thing that's better about Bionicles than it is about Magic the Gathering is you don't have to win. You don't have to play against anyone. You can just build it to build it. You can take it apart like you do decks. You can leave it half finished like you do your decks. I have God knows how many decks that are half finished. I have built minimum 10 decks that I haven't even bothered to print in paper because I know they're going to suck. But it's the deck building that's the fun part. I can just sit here all day, look through cards, look through thousands upon thousands of cards, and try and make something new. Do I get burnt out? Yeah. But and then I go do something else. Every once in a while, I'll find cards that I want to build around. Cards like Worms of the Earth. Cards like Splintering Wind. Cards like Tywakeen and Anti-Blight. Cards like Craig Boone, which I'm building a deck around now. You can do whatever you want, and that's the fun part. You can take it apart, you can redesign it in 1,000 different ways.